It's got a bunch of louvers missing. Look at that section. That's, gone, 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 gone. This chaffer frame just keeps getting better. Hey, welcome back to ZK MasterTech. Glad you guys could join us on a second service call for the season. And we've got an S670 here. It's one of those deals where the customer, heard a noise and some parts came out and he hands it to you and he wants to know, where did this come from? It's one of my favorite games.
What'd you do?
I got the 680 done that I was previously working on in the other video. I had mentioned that we were getting coolant in the crankcase of the engine and oil in the cooling system, and that I had to do the sealed head bolt pip, and I was gonna go in after the oil cooler. Well, once I got the rocker cover off, it was worse than I thought. It looked like someone just poured a milkshake on top of the engine. So I had to get the whole entire engine flushed out and cleaned and flush the cooling system. And I took the oil cooler off and had it pressure tested, and it tested bad. The second opinion said it tested bad. The first time I took it to somewhere I don't normally take it to, but it was closer, which was a mistake, and took it there and they said it wasn't leaking. And I'm like,
I don't believe you.
I think it probably is from what I see on this engine. So I took it to the place I normally take stuff to, and they said it was leaking. So that was a huge relief because I thought maybe we had some serious engine trouble. Could have been a liner leaking, could have been, a block issue or a cracked head. You never know where it could be possibly leaking coolant from. The only way to tell at that point if the oil cooler is good is to take the pan off and pressure test the system and see where it drips into the crankcase at. So replaced the oil cooler, got that all fixed, got the cooling system flushed out. I'm going to show you a product that I use on the cooling system that works really well. It's called LA's Awesome Degreaser, and I actually get it from Dollar General, believe it or not. I had a farmer tell me about this stuff, and now I use it on everything, but I really like it in a cooling system because it doesn't foam up real bad, and it mixes the oil with the coolant really well, and everything drains out the bottom instead of the oil staying at the top, and it's really hard to get the oil out of the system. This stuff works really great. So here it is, LA's Totally Awesome. I get this at Dollar General, and it's under $10 a gallon. I think it's more like $4 or $5 a gallon. It's pretty cheap, but this stuff literally works on everything. I mean, look at all the stuff it'll remove. And it gives you a ratio to mix it, and it's as seen on TV, so it's got to be good, right? Anyway, I had a farmer tell me about that stuff, and I started using it, and man, it works really good with cleaning your service truck too. Mix it 50-50 with water, spray your truck down, and give her a little scrubby, and rinses right off, takes road tar off really good too. But I'm telling you, for contaminated cooling systems, that's the ticket right there. So when I got here, the customer handed me this. And I like playing this game where, something falls out of the combine and they hand you something, you got to figure out where it came from. But this wasn't even a challenge. As soon as he handed me this bolt, I knew exactly where it came from. It goes on the pre-cleaner. And this pre-cleaner is only held down with these two M12 bolts, and I knew it was that bolt because it's got a thick washer on it. And they go right there. And then there's one on the other side. So he said it was making some banging and clanging. Not at idle, but when he went wide open throttle, he heard a banging in there. Well, yeah, see, it even broke one of the louvers in the pre-cleaner. This bolt was missing. You can see where it banged around for a while before it came out. And then that side right there was loose. So, I needed to pull the chaffer and sieve elements out. And when I got to looking at the chaffer element, it's got a bunch of louvers missing. Look at that section. That's, gone, 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 gone. And when you look at these, focus, these rods are almost wore all the way through. See, you can just, there's nothing left there, okay? And it's all of them. All right, so instead of just rebuilding this, which takes a lot of time, we don't have a lot of time to spend, you're better off just replacing the whole element at that point with every single louver worn, plus all those holes are worn and they're not gonna fit those louvers to where they'll rattle around too much. So you'll be eventually doing it again, so we're gonna replace that. And then also the sieve is the same thing. All these louvers are almost, well, they're worn more than halfway through these rods. So it's just a matter of time before these start falling out too. So I sent the customer to go get parts. So we'll throw new sieve element, new chaffer element, and a new pre-cleaner in it, which is not super hard to do. This chaffer frame just keeps getting better. Got a new pre-cleaner in there, and I Loctited those bolts. Okay. They're good. I got the sieve element slid in there, and it's got those spring bolts, and I torqued them down to 74 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to calibrate the sieve position. So it's moving the louvers on its own, all the way open, all the way closed. This is the old school way they calibrated the sieve and the chaffer elements. And it's done. New sieve is in and calibrated, and I checked it, set it to 5, and stuck my 5mm Allen in there, and it was actually correct. Huh. The old school way still works. And we'll calibrate the chaffer. Got that in there. And done. Oh man, what a thing of beauty. That calibration on these old 670s works right at 5. So I set the rear section manually here to 10, and then it calibrates, goes all the way open, all the way closed a couple times, and it opens itself up to 5, and then I check it with a 5mm Allen, and it's right on the money. Beautiful. Now I just got to put this tailboard on right here, and we'll take it out and run it. Tailboard complete. Another combine fixed, another happy customer. So sent the email of, you know, what's next? And I guess it's a S660. It's about 30 minutes away. It's got an ECU code 1347.07, which usually meant fuel rail pressure mismatch. Actual and desired was off. Now this code says on a level 33 ECU that the pump timing is off, which, you know, how does that get out of time? Well, it uses, you know, your cam sensor and crank sensor to know, you know, where that pump timing is. So I'm not really sure what we're going to get into here, but I'm going to go check it out. Well, it must be running. He's in the field. Okay, looking at everything here, you know, low fuel system seems to be working just cherry. It starts and runs great. You know, the only thing is it sets this active code for 1347.07. So I decided to do a return leak off test. So there's a line right there that you can take off. So there's two different options. This one's option 2. Some of them will have a leak off line in the cylinder head going to the rail. Basically ones that don't have this fuel return manifold right here. This one's only got one that you got to take off. If it had the one over here, you'd have to take it off. It's like a smaller line going to the rail, and then you got one coming off the head to the return manifold. You'd have to run them both into like a bucket or a larger hose. But this one, you only do the one. So I took that one off, and it just barely dribbled, and it's supposed to be less than 0.9 ounces, and it definitely is. After one, you're supposed to run it idle for 1 minute, and it should be less than 27 milliliters or 0.9 ounces, and it definitely was. So, but this pump here, looking at the part number and the serial number, has been known for failure, and there's a DTAC solution on it. And this thing is so hot that I can barely even touch the fuel tank. I mean, everything is just blazing hot on this thing. Can't really tear into it a whole lot. And the only other thing I couldn't do was take the connector off for the fuel rail relief valve. To test that, basically I'd unplug it, start it, run it for a minute, and then monitor the fuel rail pressure. And it shouldn't drop because that valve there is normally closed. It's electrically actuated to bleed the pressure off, but I can't get to that connector without pulling the fuel filters off, and everything's just 900 degrees, and I don't think it's a good idea to do that right here in the field right now. Plus those connectors are really hard to get off, and you can break them real easily. And I'd rather have this combine back at this guy's shop, which is only a couple miles from here. So I think what we're going to do, since this thing runs fine already, he wants to continue running today and a little bit tomorrow, and then he'll be kind of caught up for a minute. So I think I'm going to go ahead and let him do that, and I'm going to order a new fuel pump, and then we'll come back, and then, because to do that, to get into that pump and do more testing, we're going to have to take all this crap off, this air cleaner and shields and everything, to actually get in there and do stuff. And I want to be able to do it when the engine's a little bit cooler. So I think we're just going to go ahead and order some parts, and when we come back, we'll be ready for war. So yeah, looking at this DTAC solution here, it says high pressure pumps built with serial numbers before those listed below, which this one is, have been prone to high hour premature internal spring wear, which resulted in the pump supplying fuel to the rail when not commanded, resulting in ECU 1347.07. All improvements on spring were implemented by a supplier at October 2016. So this does have that serial number range for the pumps are bad. So I went ahead and I ordered a new fuel pump, and there's a couple high pressure lines going from the pump to the rail that are one-time use. So I got those ordered as well. And the guy just wants to get this field finished up, and then he'll be sitting for a while. So whenever he gets done using the combine, we'll come up and work on that pump. But that thing's just chewing up the beans right now. It runs fine, no power issues. It just sets a code. Isn't that weird? So I'm done for the day. I'm gonna go back to the shop and go home, and I'll see you guys on the next one. My happy home. Of course I'm the last one back. But I got back before the sun went down. That's a first. Yesterday I didn't pull in here until 9:30 at night. Good morning. So got my marching orders this morning. Got an hour and 26-minute drive one way to go look at an S670 up in Rankin, Illinois. So the customer said that it's making a squeaking noise in the chaffer frame area and that it's tight on one side. So we've all been there, done that, haven't we? So let's go check it out. I hear you got donuts, Patty.
Donuts, you want a donut?
Yeah, I want a donut. Got a long drive.
First one, I wanted to get gas this morning, so I got elected with donut duty.
Oh yeah. Open her up. What do we got? I think we're just gonna go with the glazed.
Traditional. Yeah.
Thanks, Patty.
No problem, buddy.
You're awesome. You have a good day, sir.
Man, I'm so powered up. It's gonna be a good day.
It's gonna be a good day.
Every day's a good day.
Here at Sloan's.
Sloan Implement. Good luck, buddy.
See ya. Yeah, so we get donuts whenever it's somebody's birthday. So that's a really nice thing that Sloan's does for us. So today's Paul's birthday, so happy birthday, Paul. Well, it was quite a drive, but I made it here. And this is what I found. So remember the last video I did with the S790 where the rivets were rubbing? Yeah. This one's worse. It's really tight to that side. So we can look here in the sieve frame. You can't even get a fingertip in right there. And over here, you can stick your hand in it. So the sieve frame is going to have to come out of this machine. So we're an hour and a half away from the shop. So we're going to have to send a truck up to come get this thing and just haul it back. So we're not, burning 3 hours a day just in driving. We'll be able to get it fixed faster back at the shop. So we need to figure out what is manipulating the sieve frame to be biased to the right side, or maybe it's the sieve frame at a square like the last one was and it wasn't narrowed up as like it should have been. So, it's gonna be a step-by-step process of trying to figure out what's actually moving that sieve frame over to the right. Now it has had shoe drive shaft bearings put in it, and it does look like the shoe drive shaft depth is not set just perfectly. So, that's probably not helping anything out. And there is one sieve arm, it looks like the bushings walked out of it. So, I'm just gonna have to go completely through this cleaning shoe, just like the last 790 that it did, to get everything back in alignment square, sitting where it needs to be and running perfectly straight and true. So this one's gonna have to go back to the hospital to go under surgery. Parts are ordered. I got a truck coming to pick it up today. Yeah. So I'm gonna head on back to the shop and I'll probably get a service call before I get there. Guarantee it. Yep, just like I thought. Got another service call, except I was 5 minutes from the dealership. So I'm sitting here at the dealership looking at the work order, looking at the codes. Looks like we got some codes for park brake pressure sensor on an S670 combine. Looks like when the controller is commanding the park brake to release, it's still showing pressure on the pressure sensor. So more than likely it's a sensor, but we don't have one of those. So there are some other stores around that does have it on hand. That's why I went back to the store. Make sure, look at the code, see what we're dealing with, and then maybe possibly bring a part with me, but we ain't got it. So I'm just gonna have to head there and just make sure that's what it is and go from there. it is. So we got some park brake pressure codes. This RC1 524232.12 is active. This LC2 one is inactive, but this one pops up as soon as you turn the key on. You have to start it. And when you look at the diagnostics, it just says pressure sensor voltage is within faulted uncoverable range of 0.15 to 0.35 volts. Replace the sensor, and that's it. Fine. On top of the transmission here, there's the park brake pressure sensor, and it's a different one than I thought it was initially, and I think I actually have one of those on my truck. All right, sensor is replaced. That was a good time. I just don't fit in there with that drive shaft there. Oh, would you look at that? Inactive. Let's clear everything out. Fire it up. We'll make sure the park brake releases. And boop. We're moving. Huh. Park brake on. Fixed. Well, that was a nice easy fix. I'll take that. It's pretty convenient when the diagnostics just tell you to replace the sensor. No testing required, and you replace the sensor and it fixes it. Some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug. So, got another service call, 8R410. Customer just wants the software updated, so yay me. Well, I'm not going to be able to pull off that software update because I don't have my USB stick with me. It has to be a very specific USB stick that's 32 gigabyte, and it has to be formatted in FAT32 in order for it to work. And the USB stick I got with me is not that, so I guess I'm going to head back to the shop. And I wait. But I was able to wash my truck though while I got that sinking. Quick wash. Mainly needed to wash all the bugs off the windshield. Lord. Good morning. It's another beautiful day. I was going to pull the 790 in that we just hauled back this morning, but I got another hot service call to go to. Looks like we got an S680 that is setting some transmission codes, so we're gonna go check it out. I'm almost there. I looked up the codes. I brought a couple pressure sensors with me. Hopefully it's just a sensor again. Found it. There she is. Looks like the code it's mad about is this PTP code 524232.14. AST automatic shift transmission output shaft speed detected during power on self-test. Okay. We're going to go to the PTP controller. Check address 15. Should be 0.5 volts. Yep. We're going to check 30. Should be 0.5. Yep. We're going to go to 82. So it should be a 0 bar. We're reading 0.3 and 0.4. So 82 is our transmission supply pressure sensor, and 83 is our park brake pressure sensor, and they're reading a little bit. Okay, let's fire this thing up. 85 is supposed to read 0 with the engine on, 87, 0 with the engine on. Okay. Disengage the park brake. Why is it not reading anything? What's happening? There. I don't know, I had to refresh it or something. Turn the park brake on. So it's hydraulically released, so we should be seeing pressure when I can do that and I take it out of the gate. Yeah. That's what it's supposed to do right there. And then I'll put it in park. Takes pressure off. Boy, it should be just instantly changing when I move that into the neutral gate. See, it doesn't come up until after I move a little bit. You know what? I've had a lot of issues with these two sensors right here. They're the same part number, so I'm just going to go ahead and swap both of those out. I don't think the park brake pressure sensor is reading like it should. So if we look in here on the transmission, here's our hydrostatic motor going in, and that park brake sensor is right there. If we take this little shield off the side of the transmission right here, we can see our transmission supply pressure sensor. So I'm going to replace that one. All right, let's clear these codes out. Let's go back into the PTP controller. Load. Thank you. Huh, that looks a little better. All right, let's fire it up. I don't know why. That can't be right. 2.6. Try refreshing it here. Yeah. Work, would ya? Work with me here. Making it hard on me when it doesn't need to be. Turn the parking brake off. Neutral gate. There we go. Hey, that looks better. Yeah. I don't want the camera on. So, seems like it's working. Let's get Steve to go take it for a test drive. So we drove this thing around, shut it off, and turned it back on multiple times. Code never came back. So I decided to leave, and I got about 2 miles down the road. Customer calls back, active code again. I'm like, so I drove back here. He didn't shut off. The active code was still there. So I got to looking at it, and it can only be a couple things here, right? So it's seeing transmission speed when it's supposed to be locked into park during a startup check. So during a startup check, that motor is going to run forward and reverse. Parking brakes should be locked on the transmission, meaning there should be zero pressure. in the park brake circuit, right? Because it's spring applied, hydraulically released. So if the transmission is locked in park, it shouldn't move during the startup checks, but somehow it's seeing transmission output speed during the startup check, and then it throws the stop code, and then it's all mad. I haven't been able to get this thing to act up again. Like, I have stopped it and started it many times, watching the park brake pressure, watching the output speed on transmission. I can't get it to do anything. Sometimes if you have these machines in park and you start them up and you start seeing ground speed on your corner posts on the PDU, that could be an issue with electromagnetic interference, or EMI, into the signal circuit for the transmission output speed sensor. So you got other wires in that transmission harness that are running current through them. That current creates an electromagnetic field around that wire, and signal circuits are susceptible to pick up that EMI, and it screws with the signal within that circuit. So there is a DTAC solution about running a separate wire in its own loom from the transmission controller, the PTP, down to the output speed sensor, and then taking the ground from the speed sensor and then grounding it to the chassis somewhere near the sensor. Now, I've had to do that before, but the times I've had to do that, whenever you start the machine up, the corner post would read speed. It'd be like 0.1, 0.2, 0, 0.7. It would just be reading random speed numbers, but I haven't been able to get this thing to do it. So it's either the park brake is not releasing the pressure correctly, and there's still pressure built inside of it, so whenever you start it up and the motor turns the transmission, it's actually able to turn the transmission. It sees a little bit of output speed and it freaks out. Or it's got to be some sort of electromagnetic interference in that circuit for the output speed sensor. So it's one of them intermittent deals. I think it's going to be hard to figure out, but it's got to be one of those two things. I just can't figure out which one it is until it actually acts up again on me. Well, I can't get it to act up. No matter what I do, it starts and does the startup check perfectly every time. I never see any speed on the display. During the startup checks, it never sets the code. I even had the customer start the machine a couple times, nothing. So he wants to hit the field right now, so he's gonna run. And the only other thing I can think of doing is actually running a new signal wire from the controller to the ground speed sensor. So, but this thing's absolutely covered in bean chaff. We'd have to blow the feeder house off, blow the top of the transmission off and all that stuff, and cut a wire out of the transmission connector, the controller connector, and splice in a new wire and build basically a new harness, run it all the way down, which is not a super fun place to be running wires. You got to go down the hole of doom back kind of behind the rotor there. It's not super fun to do. You usually got to use a fish tape to get it through there. So he's just gonna run. We're just gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna head back. All right, now I'm gonna go try to update the software on this 8R410. I cannot get the files to sync on my USB stick to save my life. I have tried everything. It always gets stuck when it's syncing the files. So I got one of the AMS guys, Kyle. He's gonna download the file to a stick and meet me out there. We're gonna try a different computer and different stick and just see what happens. Electronics, software, gotta love it. Let the fun begin. All right, now I'm back at the shop where I can do more important things. I got the S670 that we hauled in. That's got the sieve frame rubbing on the right side. And I got the battle station all set up. You know, you gotta have a cart on the rear, right side and left side. You gotta have a big parts table, you know, service truck, and a service cart. So we're gonna try to use all the tools out of the cart. Try not to use a lot of stuff out of the truck, so in case I gotta leave on a service call, I can just go and not have to put a bunch of tools up. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the shop dog up to this thing, and I want to turn this cleaning shoe over really slowly just to make sure there's nothing else weird going on, because I did hear it, the separator run at low idle, and I heard the squeak, but I want to turn everything over nice and easy with the shop dog and make sure there's no other smoking guns. All right, shop dog time. I'm just looking at these cams to make sure. All right, well, I didn't see anything extra that I didn't know before with the shop dog, but it was nice to see everything move and see where we're rubbing and where we're tight. I did want to see how the cams rotated around the shaft to make sure we didn't have any major keyway wear or cam wear on the shaft or anything like that. But what I can definitely tell is the sieve frame is sitting in there crooked. It is tight on the left front and tight on the right rear. So it's sitting in there like that. So I'm just gonna start yanking stuff out, see how much I can get done today, and we'll go from there. Well, we did a lot of work, didn't we, Mason?
Oh yeah.
And then the wind got taken out of our sails because Ian's got the boom that we need to pull the chaffer frame. But it'll be back here tomorrow. So it's already at the end of the day anyway, so we're at a good stopping point here, but you know, we got everything yanked out. We're to the point where we need to yank the return pan, and then we'll be installing my little jig on there and pulling the chaffer frame. But look at this, you can just tell that this frame is sitting in here crooked. When you look at where the chaffer frame is sitting right here, this is sticking out right here, and right here it's almost flush. So this sieve frame is sitting in there like this, crooked that way. So it's tight up in that front left corner, and it's tight in this right rear corner here. I mean, you can tell by how close that is right there versus right there. All right, well, that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to come in tomorrow's Saturday, and get to working on this. My goal for the day we're probably going to work till like 2 or 3. I want to get the sieve frame out and sitting on a stand. You know, it's kind of my goal, but you never know if you're going to get called out on a service call. But it was a pretty fun adventure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the service call video. So I'm going to be doing a series. You know, you're going to harvest 20, 25, service calls 1, 2, 3, and so on. So we'll just do service calls until harvest is over, and then we'll start getting into big shop projects again. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the ride. So watch out for part 2. We'll catch you up to speed on this guy. So like this video, subscribe below if you haven't already, hit the notification bell. I'm going to be pumping out videos once a week, so you don't want to miss it. Comment below, let me know how I'm doing, and until next time, keep that green iron moving.